can we talk budget? Just general numbers? For me, the numbers that come out are like they're staggering. Mm-hmm. And I think the project is running over budget, but what do we know about that?
That's obviously a big discussion point for everyone that's involved in the project. The way the project was done earlier on and how they came with the conclusion of where we're at now is we did a lot of studies on how we can not necessarily dig deep. Mm-hmm. We can balance the cut and fill portions of all of these intersections. If we did that, that means we're impacting the line of sight from one side to the other, from east side to west side. Mm-hmm. So if we were to balance it, people on the east side, let's say on 126th Street, if you're on the gas station, you can't see Lockhart.
Right.
So that was one thing I think the commissioners and the mayor were against. They did not want to have a wall go down 37
and not be able to see it.
And not be able to see that. So obviously, when we're beginning the project, we put a budget based on what we think is the best, balance between the cut and fill on all these intersections. But then we look more into the impacts to the surrounding businesses and the residents. So we look at that, and we were like, okay, we don't want this to become a wall like 31 when you go up north of 146th Street. There's just a big wall between Target and McDonald's.
Right.
That's one thing that we really did not want on 37.
I didn't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Now that you're saying that, it's like, okay, that I get that.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And it's a big deal to the businesses. I mean, Lockhart, Cadillac, if you, when 126th Street finished, they had even said, oh my goodness, it's kind of elevated. The way that you see when you're driving and you're like, oh my gosh, with the lights and everything, you have such a great vantage point on their business. So that piece, to Hatem's point, the commissioners, that was a really important piece, is to make sure that we're not blocking that visibility for businesses that depend on that, for people to know where they are.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if the project is certainly not on the same scale, but when I do a project at home, if I haven't done it before, I know I'm going to run into some things that I just didn't think through, or are different than what I was expecting. Mm-hmm. What's maybe the one or two biggest things that after the project got started, it was like, we're going to have to rethink this or do this differently than anticipated? Which the boulders, obviously, and the tunneling.
That was a big one. That was one
Yeah.
example. I think there was one thing that we did on 131st that I think helped us out. There's obviously utilities that cross on 131st Street going across 37. So with our discussions with the utilities, especially specifically the gas, is that they were going to do their own relocation, and this was how much it was going to cost. It was going to cost, I think, over $2 million to do it. Mm-hmm. And that was going to be done before the contractor gets in and does his work. Usually that's what we like to do. We want the utilities to get out the way first, and then the contractor goes in. So obviously the number was really huge that we started thinking, we're like, okay, that's too much. What can we do in the project that would help them? Because they were, depending on the type of construction, they were going to have lane restrictions anyway. Mm-hmm. So we thought, okay, why don't we get the contractor in, bid it, have the contractor come in, and instead of starting work on the west side, closing the west side and start digging, we can close the east side, have the traffic move, have the utilities start work on the east side, and vice versa. So have them work here, open cut it, then switch traffic, have them open cut it here, and therefore the utilities don't have to pay for MOT. It's already included in the project.
Okay.
And that MOT's already built in with the phasing of the project, so that means we're taking advantage of them being out there. We don't have to pay the utilities the enormous amount of money because they were in an easement, so we had to pay them to relocate. So in order for them to do all that and reduce a lot of their impact, a lot of their expenses, we decided to take the MOT in our project, and I think we saved over $1 million
Wow.
with just doing that. And the utility was happy because they did it quickly. They did it under budget as well, and the contractor was happy because they just knew where it was and that it wasn't impacting them, and they didn't have to tiptoe around it.
Yeah.
So they knew where it was, and even after that, the utility didn't have to remedy the pavement because the contractor was already gonna
do it.
Yeah, gonna excavate it. So that was cost relief on us on the project as a whole. So we were able to reduce a lot of the costs for the utilities, and it was a great savings on that. So we were really happy we did that. So it was.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for putting the pressure on, because usually at home, my Mrs. Hamstoning had a budget decrease.
Right.
Next time.
Right. So next time I get a honey-do list, I'm calling.
Call the
Just-
Tim.
Just call the
Call
city
Tim.
officials.
I'll
We'll
give
take
you a
care
cell
of
number.
it.
What can I do here
Right.
to, what can I move around on
Yeah.
this?